We'll start right away. I'm not gonna wait. It's already very late. Let me tell you what today's lesson is about. While teaching in Capernaum, the followers and townspeople gathered to hear what he said. But a group of Pharisees and teachers of the law from the region came to hear as well. There's a group of people over there. That's the house where they gathered. How is this Jesus person supposed to heal our friend if we can't get through the crowd? So there is a few friends carrying one of their friends who is kind of sick. He cannot walk himself, so they're carrying him. And he says, it's okay, my friends, you tried. No, we're gonna do our best. We can't get through the crowd, we go over it. Makes sense. Hold on, what? We'll need some tools and rope. What are they going to do? And so while Jesus is inside the house of one of the peoples of the town, he's saying, God's kingdom draws near, but the Father is merciful and forgives. You too must have mercy. You too must forgive. And the Father will... What is going on? Suddenly, there's dust and pieces of the roof start falling down. What's happening? What happened was this, that the four friends who tried to get their friend to Jesus, they couldn't get through the crowd, so they went up the roof and made a hole in the roof and lowered their friend right in front of Jesus. Our friend wanted to see you, Jesus, he says. He believes you can take care of him. Now this is faith, says Jesus. My friend, your sins are forgiven, says Jesus. Oh, Jesus, thank you. What? Some people are like very indignant because Jesus says your sins are forgiven, and no human person, a human being, can ever say something like that. But Jesus isn't just a human being, and that's the point. They get angry. The teachers of the law, Pharisees, they're the teachers of the law. They're saying, you dare speak such blasphemous words? None but God may forgive sins. That's the point, right? Jesus pointed out that he's not just a human being, he is God himself, and that's why he can forgive sins. And so he answers, why do you hold such evil inside? What's easier to say, your sins are forgiven, or get up and walk? What is easier to say? Is it easier to say to a person, your sins are forgiven, or is it easier to say, get up and walk? Well, to a human being, both are impossible to say. What do you mean? Says this guy. Let me show you that I, the Son of Man is the actual phrase from the Old Testament, which points out that he is the descendant of David and he is the Son of God. Both, he's the Son of God and he's the Son of Man. Actually, he says, let me show you that I, the Son of Man, actually have authority to forgive sins. Get up, man. Take your mat and walk home. Dun, 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 dun. He gets up. He says, but how? Oh, it's been so long, he says, thank you. And his friends just watch their friend run out of the house on his feet. I'll never forget this day. What about you, Thomas? Unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it. This is someone worth following. Jesus is someone worth following. That's the point. Let me read this one today too, because it's really late. Sharing and caring friends, because sharing is caring, right? One day, while Jesus was teaching in someone's home, a group of men came along carrying a paralyzed man on a sleeping mat. Paralyzed means he's not able to move his legs or arms, maybe just legs, but he cannot walk. That's the point. Because of the crowd that had gathered, they couldn't get into the house. So they went up onto the roof and lifted off some roof tiles. Then they lowered their friend down on his mat with ropes. When Jesus saw him, he said, your sins are forgiven. Some of those watching got upset and whispered, how can this man forgive sins? Only God can forgive sins. But Jesus knew what they were thinking, and to prove that he had the power to forgive sins, he told the man to pick up his bed and go home. And at once, the man was healed. The question for us is, how can sharing change someone's life? Have you recently invited a friend to your home and had your room look like a disaster zone by the end of the day? Probably. And when your friend left, you had to tidy up the mess. The person at whose house Jesus taught might have thought how nice it would be to have Jesus visit him in his own home, he had probably not imagined that a crowd of people was about to take over his house or that someone would rip open his roof. Just imagine the mess after everyone had left. Yet one crippled man walked out of his house that day, healed, forgiven, and changed forever. Wouldn't you say it was worth it? You may never know how wonderfully God is able to use your kind acts to change someone's life. Be encouraged. Jesus sees when you have to clean up after everyone has left. The time and effort you spend to bless others will not go unnoticed. And let's read the verse for today. Ready, go. But when you give,
But when you give, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. Let your giving be in secret. When your Father sees what is done in secret, will reward you. Matthew
Secret, then your
6:10.
Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you. Matthew 6:3-4.
yeah, we had a sharing is caring program recently. Some people, they donated some items to the school and the school shared it with those who need it. And those items that were not taken by our school students and their families were donated to the orphanage. So many orphans who don't have any parents, they got to, get those things that our students donated. And that was very nice. Anybody donated anything here? Anyone? No? Oh, well. Next time you have
donated.
Hirunya and Janyandu. Yes, I know you donated things. A couple of bags. I remember seeing that. So some orphans got your things and they probably are very happy and very lucky to have that. Yeah, sharing is caring. Sometimes we do not see how our things, our sharing can bless other people, but God can use our small things and multiply it and bless many people. Just like that boy who had only a couple of fishes and some loaves of bread, he shared and Jesus multiplied it and thousands of people ate it. Remember? Because sharing is caring. God can use our little to bless many people. I remember when I was at school, sometimes our school had a party. A couple of times we had a party and I invited everybody to my house and everybody had a lot of fun, dancing and eating and just hanging out. And then at the end of the day, I had to clean the house alone pretty much before my parents got home from work. It was a mess. I remember having a big mess in my house. Broken handles on the door. Yeah, doors were broken. Furniture was misplaced. Cups and dishes were broken. Yeah. Sometimes they would throw things out the window and I had to go and pick it up. Gayana, what?
Is it like that your parents didn't know that you are having a party?
Oh, my parents knew. I got the permission from them first, but still they made a mess, my friends. And then they would go, tired after partying. Usually at the end of the year, academic year, when we finished all of the exams and were free, before we would go to summer vacation, because summer vacation is 3 months long, June, July, August, no school, summer vacation. And then we study for 9 months and then we rest for 3 months. That's how schools are usually in other countries. In Sri Lanka, it's different because you have summer 365 days a year. Anyway, let's talk more tomorrow because it's